myself to, and for that, I am so sorry. What I did was wrong, no excuses. I take full responsibility for my actions. I didn't treat this officer with the respect that he deserved. All police officers deserve respect. I am truly and sincerely sorry.
Dorley saying she had a long, hard day at work and that her husband had received concerning medical news, but also adding with that it wasn't right to take that out on the officer and apologizing to him directly. And as far as the speeding ticket, saying she has pled guilty and will pay the fine, with her also claiming she's going to further take accountability by referring the whole matter to another DA for review, self-reporting the incident to the grievance committee, disciplining herself, and taking ethics training.
I've been humbled by my own stupidity, and I am fully to blame. I will make this right. I ask for your forgiveness.
So we'll see what happens from here, but in the meantime, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. And then, huge news, because there was a while where people didn't know if this was going to happen or not. Andrew Tate's trial can officially begin, because that's what a Romanian court ruled over the weekend, with the Bucharest tribunal saying that the prosecutor's case against him meets the legal criteria needed, but there is no official start date yet. And of course, all of this stemming from Tate and his brother being arrested back in December of 2022 over rape and human trafficking allegations, with him then later officially indicted in June of last year. And this, of course, is they've maintained their innocence and claim that there's no evidence to support the claims against them. And with that, they filed to appeal the court's latest decision, with their lawyer saying that the ruling lacks legal basis and reasoning. And for his part, as of recording, Tate didn't have too many posts directly talking about the news, so he did appear on Aiden Ross's stream over the weekend. And that, notably coming after Andrew was arrested over claims in the UK earlier this year, and it may have been Aiden's fault. Or because Aiden said on a live stream that Andrew had plans to flee Romania, which was a tip-off to authorities. And while talking to Aiden during the stream over the weekend, Andrew was very sarcastically thanking Aiden for his support. And it feels like this strange bit leading to Andrew then seemingly kind of snapping.
If you don't come to Romania to face retribution for the betrayal you have bestowed upon your old friend, Andrew Tate, we are not going to talk ever again. You are no use to me. I do not need you in any way. You benefit my life zero.
You called me!
Face justice.
But ultimately, that's where we are right there. Though notably, once that trial's over, even if it goes his way, this is not over for him, because a Romanian court said that after this trial, the Tate brothers could be extradited to the UK to face allegations there. And then, let's talk about this big gamer drama and news. Because even if you're not a gamer yourself, this whole situation's very eye-opening in regards to entertainment fandoms and the relationship fans have with the people that create the things that they like. Right? Because what we're seeing is that fans of the game Escape from Tarkov are up in arms after Battlestate Games managed to do just about everything a developer could do to upset its fan base. At the center of this is their new $250 Unheard edition of the game, right, which was going to include a ton of perks for buyers like exclusive items and a new highly anticipated PvE game mode for a game that's normally player versus player. But right off the bat, fans were pissed at pretty much everything about the package, and there's been a lot of back and forth over the weekend with Battlestate Games trying to do as much damage control as possible. So we're not going to get into every gritty detail because a lot has changed, but an easy place to start is the PvE game mode. Because not too long ago, the company offered the $150 Edge of Darkness edition, which promised buyers access to all future additions to the game, aka DLC. But according to the head of Battlestate Games, Nikita Buyanov, this PvE game mode wasn't DLC, saying instead it is just a feature, and arguing in a Reddit post that, quote, DLC in our understanding is the major additions to the game, including various functionality and content that are released after the official release of the game as a themed DLC, which I just gotta say is objectively a very stupid explanation. And so we saw pretty much everyone agree that it seemed to be like a semantic game that Nikita was trying to play here. And so then we saw the company switch to saying that the game mode would be offered to everyone for 6 months for free. Though for many, that just wasn't enough, right? Those who spent $150 felt like they were lied to. And I absolutely understand why they would feel like that. You know, I'm not alone in that feeling. And so after that backlash, we saw Nikita coming back on April 27th to say, we observe your dissatisfaction and have decided that the functionality of the PvE mode will be available for free to all owners of the EOD version at the release of the game when the server infrastructure will be improved to the required capacity. There will also be options for people to buy early access to the game mode and discounts for those with the Edge of Darkness pack to upgrade to the $250 Unheard edition. Although this didn't solve the controversy surrounding the PvE game mode availability, whereas the company said that it'd need to invite Edge of Darkness owners in waves in order to not overload the servers. But notably, no time frame was set. You know, that alone would be a major controversy for any game developer today, but it was just the tip of the iceberg. Because, you know, the reality is this affected a fairly small subset of players who previously spent $150. But this $250 package had something that affected everyone, new items and gear, with many feeling like this was a pay-to-win feature, which, you know, is something that a lot of people hate, right? Because the vast majority of people that are playing a game like this, they want to feel like they're on an even playing field regardless of how much money they spent. However, in a Reddit post, Nikita seemingly doubled down late last week that the $250 would still have exclusive items, but promising that regarding special items for the Unheard version, we plan to make restrictive or balancing changes for these items. And in a Reddit post yesterday clarifying that we will balance items, perks in the Unheard edition, as well as provide more rewards for those who upgraded with the old price, which did not really make people happy, with big commentators and gamers like Moist Critical still blasting the decision, saying in a response to the that last point.
If that's more pay-to-win items, I'm actually going to squeal. We're going to provide more rewards for those who upgraded. Here's some more pay-to-win. That would actually have me squealing. But he's just referencing that the community knows this is all pay-to-win, so they're going to be balancing it. The best way of balancing that, Nikita, is to take that shit out. People don't want that in their games. No one wants to pay for an advantage or play a game where people can pay for an advantage over those who don't. It sucks. It's terrible for the health of your game. So just remove it and replace those bonuses with cool cosmetics or something like that.
Right, and that feeling was shared by a lot of players. With, for example, Zizarin, who's a streamer that plays a lot of Tarkov when they're not on their main game writing. Can't we just have any paid features be cosmetic? I'm more than happy to put lots of money in the games for cosmetic upgrades, voice lines, weapon skins, anything that doesn't impact anything in the game. And in an earlier video, he mentioned,
we managed to get NFTs not into gaming, and I really hope that we can start making pay to win better in games and like make it less. Like, I am all for developers making a large amount of money. This should be through cosmetic means, which a lot of these games can do. Even Tarkov can do this.
But with all that said, they did seem to concretely change one thing that fans weren't happy about, and that was priority matchmaking. Where pretty much people who spent $150 or more were able to get better queue times to play the game, and now that's no longer a thing. And so to compensate, yet unspecified changes will be made to those packages. But, in the end, fans weren't exactly feeling confident that the company actually cared about the concerns and rather did it to avoid more controversy. But even when Nikita did apologize to fans, it was a classic kind of sorry you feel this way, saying, I would like to say that I am very sorry that fans and the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. And there was this general sentiment that the company's credibility took a massive hit with all this, and it would take a long time to rebuild that trust.
This was a stupid, entirely avoidable situation that BSG found themselves in here. Their greed nearly ruined their entire game, and it still might have. There's probably plenty of people who have totally lost trust in Tarkov and won't stick around. I think there's a good chunk of players that are falling into that camp. But it does suck that no matter what Nikita and BSG did here, they are still going to be making tons and tons and tons of money from this.
And with all this, the fact that they'll be making a mountain of cash by charging $250 for this package is probably the last thing that I'm going to touch on. Because there's a serious concern that despite all the backlash and the problems, that this is going to set a precedent in the gaming space and popularize that companies can charge huge amounts for DLCs. Because, in the past, DLCs range from like $5 to dozens of dollars. It just depended on how much content they provided. But $150, $250 for a single new game mode is a completely different ballpark. Right? It's the kind of pricing that we've seen blow up for like iPhone games, where they're trying to milk the 0.1% of the community into these $50, $100 packages that they're just buying and buying and buying and buying, which is less of a game and more of like a dopamine button for really rich fucks. Right? And again, all this playing out is a lot of fans don't have issues tying cosmetic things to huge reward packs. Or for example, games like Path of Exile do it, and they have insanely popular supporter packs, but it's never tied to in-game features, which is a step a lot of gamers fear the industry is moving towards. But with now all that said, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts with this mess? And I mean that both with this specific situation, but also the gaming space in general. And then, if the mom in your life gave you her all, Mother's Day is your chance to give back at least a fraction of the love and comfort that she's given you all these years. And so get ready for the segue. I'm telling you from personal experience, the gift that keeps on giving is Cozy Earth sheets. Right? Because Cozy Earth materials are made from viscose, from bamboo, which makes them ultra soft and super durable. This is the luxury she deserves. So thank you, Cozy Earth, for not only being a fantastic partner to the PDS, but for offering our viewers 35% off. In fact, Cozy Earth is so confident about their product, they offer a 100-night sleep trial and 10-year warranty. And besides the superior softness, she's going to appreciate the temperature regulating technology adapting to her body's needs to ensure a sleep experience tailored to her, no matter if she runs hot or cold. It makes them perfect all year round. So this Mother's Day, treat the mom in your life to the luxury she deserves with Cozy Earth bedding and sleepwear. And prioritize her self-care and sleep health. She deserves it. Just go to cozyearth.com/DeFranco and enter DeFranco at checkout for 35% off. And really, don't forget the sleepwear. She'll be happy you didn't. And thanks again to Cozy Earth for being soft and cozy. And then, so Kristi Noem, let's talk about her. She's the South Dakota governor. She's potentially a Trump VP pick, and she apparently wears puppy murder like a badge of honor. Let me explain. Right, so The Guardian got a copy of her new book, No Going Back: The Truth on What's Wrong with Politics and How We Move America Forward. And in it, she describes taking Cricket, her 14-month-old female wire hair pointer, on a pheasant hunting trip with older dogs to begin training her. And she says Cricket went out of her mind with excitement, chasing all those birds and having the time of her life. So she then tried calling the dog, then using an electric collar, but neither worked. And then on the way home, while Gnome stopped to talk to a local family, Cricket escaped the truck and attacked the family's chickens. But they're describing it as grabbing one chicken at a time, crunching it to death with one bite, then dropping it to attack another. When Gnome grabbed the dog, it whipped around